Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Sagnick Dutta. I'm an MBBS student at Burdwan Medical College and Hospital, West Bengal. In this video, I'll be talking about something very important that you need to know as a medical student especially, but it is also relevant for any other student of any other branch, even if you are in a school or maybe into some college. But this one single thing which is very important for every other student is something called as time management. As a medical student, it is very difficult for us to actually manage time for ourselves. What I mean to say by that is that as a medical student, we need to go through huge hefty books, we need to write logbooks, we need to write practicals, we need to attend our practical classes, then we need to attend our clinical postings. And after every single bit of that, we need to have some time for our own relaxation. But at the end of the day, this doesn't happen. So managing time effectively is something very crucial to know and understand every single thing properly, and so that we can have a healthier lifestyle. So in this video, we'll be talking everything about that. So without much ado, let us get into this video. This entire video is divided into 6 sections. In the first section, I'll be talking about understanding your schedule. In the second section, I'll be talking about effective studies techniques. In the third section, I'll be talking about how to set up realistic goals and accomplish them. In the fourth section, I'll be talking about something called as self-care, which usually miss out on. Number 5, I'll be talking about how to utilize productivity tools to help in better time management. And number 6 is going to be something very specific for medical students, is how to manage your time and utilize your time effectively in the clinical postings. So let us start with the very first section, that is understanding your schedule. Now, section 1 is understanding your schedule. What I mean by making a schedule is you should have 3 types of schedules, that is a monthly schedule, second is a weekly schedule, and third is to have a daily schedule. Now, in your monthly schedule, you should have a long-term goal. That is, if, for example, in a month, you have 2 weddings to attend, you have got a few matches to watch, and maybe these are the topics that you need to solve or maybe you need to write. You should write every single thing in a piece of paper. If you have a planner, that's well and good, but a single white piece of paper would do the job as well. So first basic thing that you need to do is to set up a long goal for an entire month, that what are the things that needs to be achieved in that particular month. Second is to have a weekly schedule. In a weekly schedule, you should have all the things that you need to do in that entire week. Firstly, you should have all your study materials and study chapters or subjects that you need to complete in that week, keeping in mind the number of tests that might be present or maybe some significant event related to the exam. And third is to have a daily schedule. Now, this part of a schedule called as the daily schedule shall be the most specific one. In the morning, you should do and make a to-do list of the entire things that you need to do in that particular day. And this schedule becomes the most specific one because at the beginning of the day, you can at least predict what are the things that's going to happen to you in your entire day. So you know what are the times that you need to spend in some specific things, and you can have a clear idea of what are the things that you can do in that particular day. So a daily schedule shall be the most specific one in particular. Now, talking about the next one, that is effective study techniques. Now, as a student, studying has to be the most important task, and that shall be our number 1 priority. Now, when you are actually studying, rather than sitting for long hours, or if you are sitting for like just 10-15 minutes and then taking a long 1-2 hour break, so this becomes a gap and creates a lot of problem while studying. So it is better to actually prioritize your studies, and secondly, you should have a proper technique to study. If you have seen my latest video where I have shared a day in my life where I'm actually studying different subjects, you might see that I always put a timer on while studying. And that actually helps me to have a concentration period for a defined amount of time, and then it provokes me to get a short break. And that actually helps us to have a proper technique of study. If we just use this technique called as Pomodoro, where we take a 1 hour to 2 hour study session and then we take around half an hour break or maybe a 15 minutes break, it actually helps us to have a long focus hour for 1 or 2 hours, and then it also helps us to refresh our mind in the next 15-20 minutes, and that becomes a very effective study session. So it is very important that you divide your entire day into different study slots depending on your essentiality of studying. For example, if you have an exam coming up, obviously your study hours will go up, and if you do not have any exam, then your study hours will be basic and normal. So depending on that, divide your entire day into different study slots, into small study slots, and study effectively in those study slots. And to help you better manage your time while studying, it is recommended that you use some techniques like highlighters or maybe use bookmarks, so that you have a better time managing skill to go into each particular topic. And that is completely up to you to how to make and mark things up so that it doesn't get your time wasted. With that being said, let us come to the third important goal, and that is setting up realistic goals. Now, talking about goals, your goals shall be of two types: short-term goals or long-term goals. Now, both of these types of goals, that is short-term or long-term goals, should be smart enough. Now, talking about the word smart, what I mean is they should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be achievable, they should be realistic, and they should be time bound. Break larger goals into smaller ones and be very specific into solving those goals. Break up those goals into small measurable quantities and achieve them. And what I mean by time bound goals is that you should not be focused into only one goal and put your entire time into that particular goal and forget about the other goals, and that would become a very problematic thing in your life, and you would end up spending more time into a futile one. There goes a very important saying that always strive for progression and not perfection. For example, if you have one particular chapter which you are very weak at, so what you do is you give your entire focus into that particular chapter, and you end up spending 8 hours a day to understand and solve the questions of one particular chapter. But at the end of the day, you end up spending your 90% of your time into perfection of that particular chapter, but at the end of the day you remain at that same exact position where you have other 10 chapters left, and that should not be the case. You should always prioritize your goals, but you should not be focused into one single goal and solve that, and that actually ends up losing and wasting more time than usual. So what we should do is we should divide our target set into multiple small goals, and we should have specific time for specific goals and solve them. Now, talking about that, we need to talk about one very important thing, that is prioritizing self-care. Now, if we need to talk about this, that the entire hustle and bustle that we go through as medical students, we forget about prioritizing our self-care. Recognizing the importance of self-care is very important while you are studying medicine. Ensuring adequate sleep, nutrition, and exercise to boost your productivity and enhancing your ability to absorb informations is very much realistic and very much necessary. So prioritizing your self-care above anything else should be your primary target as well. And once you have a good self-care routine, you can have a better time management as well. Number 5 is utilizing productivity tools. In the internet, you will have many digital tools like calendars, like to-do lists, maybe note-taking apps, maybe Pomodoro websites and everything. And you should make the best utilization of all these tools. And the reason for that is these tools actually help you to track your time. For example, if you are using a to-do list, you should have a list of every single thing that you should do. And once you complete, strike those points that you have completed, strike those tasks. And at the end of the day, you get a satisfaction that, okay, you have completed all these tasks. Maybe you have designed for yourself an entire 10 tasks for each day. But at the end of the day, if you see that there are 8 tasks that you have completed and there are 2 left, you might find that okay, that you have done all these 8 things very satisfactorily and you do not regret about these 2 things that you have left with. But at the same time, if you do not have a list of the things and at the end of the day you remember that okay, these are the 2 things that I have not done, you will regret and find that, and you will think that okay, that you have actually not completed 2 important tasks, and at the end of the day you will end up regretting that. And that should not be the case, because you have worked hard to complete the things that you have aligned for. So that becomes very important. At the same time, if I talk about these Pomodoro tools, it actually helps you to track your time. Once you are sitting for study slots, then these Pomodoro techniques actually help you to track your time and you do not need to physically track your time. So utilizing all these digital apps to actually leverage your time should be your ultimate goal, and that would actually help you at the end of the day. Now, talking about section 6 is how to have an effective time during your clinical postings. Now, I have made a separate video on clinical postings. If you have not watched, you can just go and click on the I button and watch that video. But what I need to actually specify in this portion is, while you are attending your clinical postings and you know about the cases that are being taught or that are going to be taught, what you should do is you should have a proper idea of those cases from beforehand, and that would actually help you to utilize that clinical case. Because most of us are into some government medical college and the pressure loads are huge in those government medical colleges, so our seniors don't get much time to actually help us explore those patients. Having said that, if you have a proper idea of those cases that are being said, that are being done, that are being shown, then with the slightest help of the senior residents, you can achieve larger learnings from those clinical postings. So it is very important that you take up notes and moreover have a proper idea of those cases beforehand. So that would actually help you to manage your time during the clinical postings. You can invest your time into understanding the crucial concepts rather than wasting your time into solving some basic things, which if you have read previously, you would have a proper idea about. So with that, we come to an end of a discussion of all the 6 steps and processes that you can actually use to prioritize your time, to use your time effectively. In the conclusion, what I need to say is managing time as an MBBS student is a very personalized approach. You should not follow someone blindly to manage your time. And the sole reason for that is the events taking place in one's life is not same as that happening in someone else's life. So implementing these strategies, adjusting them as needed is very important. And remember one thing, maintaining a balance is a very progressive thing that needs to be done. It can never be a stagnant thing. To find a perfect balance with every work that needs to be done in your life should be a very progressive thing and can never be a static thing. Having said that, if you have found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might find it helpful as well. Thank you. All the best.